also cussed you out, and I told you not to talk about it. I told you we deserved it. Especially you, Maggie. I'm really, really sorry. And I want to say thank you for everything you've done for those girls at Circle of Hope. I wish I was paying attention. I really do. But you were the hero to so many girls there, Maggie. Thank you.
We love you, Amanda. We love you.
I honestly never thought I would be back in Stockton. We moved here July 5th, 2001. We moved from a boarding school in Florida. I was really young there. I don't remember much. I do remember they had a spanking room. I was not allowed to go in that room, and I knew that if I went into that room, it would be worse for me. I know that they forced children to use their toothbrush to scrub the kitchen floor, and then they forced those children to then use that toothbrush on their own mouth. That school started allowing girls to wear boy shorts. Skirts were only allowed in this school, below your knee, 6 inches below your knee. Christian rock music was being allowed, and Disney movies were allowed. At this point, in 2001, my dad said it was becoming too nice, and so he found Agape boarding school for boys, and we moved to Stockton, Missouri. When I was there, I was a bit naive, but I will tell you, Alan Knoll is actually the first boy I ever witnessed get restrained at Agape. And I can tell you, I remember what his face looked like after. This place was not a place you should send any kid struggling with anything. My dad then took the practices of Agape boarding school and opened up Circle of Hope in July of 2006. When it first opened, honestly, it was just myself and 3 girls. It was really completely different. My whole childhood, I was abused at home. We were locked in our house. We were not allowed to leave. We were beaten for being kids. And when I say beaten, we were literally, my dad would take golf sticks to us. When we moved to Agape, like 2 months after, I actually ran away. I didn't get far. I only ran up this hill, but at Agape, it's such a big property, you think you're gone. And then I was like, oh, I can go to my friend Ashley Clemenson's house. And I went to her house and I told her everything. Her parents, Alan Clemenson and Angela Clemenson, took me into Jim Clemenson's office. Jim Clemenson was sitting in his desk, and his wife, Kathy Clemenson, I refuse to call her the name that she wants us to call her, was sitting on the side. They made me sit down in a chair next to this big brass eagle. And then my mom and dad came in. I was not allowed to tell them what happened to me. Angela and Alan did. Jim looked me in the eyes and said, if you were being punished, you did something to deserve it. And then I left. I had tried running away multiple times. After Circle of Hope opened, like I said, it wasn't as abusive when it first started. But once we started getting more girls, it started getting extremely abusive. We, as teenagers, were forced to sit on top of our peers' pressure points and push all of our weight on their pressure points. And if we were not pressing hard enough, we were told it would be us next. And the way they were screaming, you knew you did not want that. So you did, and you hurt yourself by putting as much weight on them as you can. These were teenagers being forced to restrain their friends, their peers. So August 2006, July and August, myself and 2 girls, Mylin Nguyen and Chloe Boyds, were talking, and Mylin's like, I'm not having this. And Chloe started telling me that my dad was touching her in places that she knew that it would lead to something else. And she's like, I've been sexually abused and I don't want nothing to do with this. So we grabbed trash bags the next day, went around the house collecting all of the pants that I wasn't supposed to have. We filled up 2 big black garbage bags full and got in a car and basically asked people for money and made it all the way to New Mexico. This was literally a month after opening, and I witnessed a lot in my family because my parents were extremely abusive, but let me tell you, being forced to restrain someone is probably the worst thing that I ever had to go through, because you are being forced to inflict pain on your friend, and you're being told that you will be tortured after if you don't. I don't know what else to say other than I was kicked out in 2009 because I had told a girl, a 5-year-old, they had a 5-year-old girl, and my dad had a devotions and was speaking about how if you are a woman and you wear pants, you're going to hell. Well, her mom wore pants, and she told me she was crying. I asked her why she was crying, and she told me she didn't want her mom to go to hell for wearing pants. I looked at her, and I said, if your mom is going to hell for wearing pants, my sister, my aunt, and my mama, who are all dead, are in hell for wearing pants. Somehow that got back to my parents, and that was not acceptable. And so I was kicked out. I did not want to think of it anymore. I did keep in contact with some of the girls, but once they started publicly speaking about it, that's when I would cuss them out and I would tell them to shut up. I remember I was visiting my parents, and in 2013, Maggie sent my dad a letter. And I read the letter, and I thought, I hate this cunt. I'm sorry.
Bear. Don't leave it out.
Alright.
I blocked her from my Facebook, and I told myself I would never talk to her again because my father would never touch someone in that way. It wasn't until 2016 that I got a message from another survivor, and I instantly read, I was like, no. And then I just started thinking, my dad was never affectionate with me. I never got hugs, and I never got kisses from my own father. There's no way he can say, I treat my daughter this way, because he never treated his daughter this way. But at the first home in Florida, there were a few girls that he always kept with him. He would take them on his days off with my mom, out to eat, out shopping, while me and my brother were forced to stay home and clean. And then I started remembering how he would always have one specific girl in the beginning, in his office, massaging his head. Now, yeah, the girl I ran away with, because she had claimed my father sexually touched her, he put this rule into place where you always have to go with yourself and 2 girls. So that means he would have to have 3 girls in his office while massaging Candace massaged his head. That was never the case. Very rarely was there 2 girls with Candace and him alone, or Candace and him in his office. Most of the time, the door was more closed than opened. And I just started thinking back. I called my brother and I asked him for Maggie's phone number. And I called Maggie up. And I told her, you have absolutely no reason to lie to me. If my father touched you in that way, please tell me now, and I will believe you. And as she's telling me her story, I'm reading this other girl's story, and they all line up word for word, literally word for word. Maggie had never met this girl, not until 2020, and I got them introduced, or 2018, I can't remember. And there is no way either one of them are lying about their story. They are not the only ones, there are other girls, and every single one of their stories add up. And so that's when we basically got together and we were like, we have to do something about this. And we started Proactive Survivors, a Circle of Hope in 2016, I think it was. So we had contacted DSS, and they told us their hands are tied. There's nothing that they can do. Every time we tried contacting the sheriff's department, we never received a phone call back, or we never got a call, or we never got heard. We were never getting any response back. We tried KY3 News. We tried everything. We got Michelle Nickerson. Her sister got sent to Circle of Hope in 2018, and she actually found a highway patrol officer who did an extensive investigation on Circle of Hope. And let me tell you, every time this highway patrol officer, Travis Hitchcock, called me, he was in tears because of the stuff that he was hearing and reading and the stuff that he was finding. It didn't go anywhere. We sent it to the DA in Springfield, and I contacted her, and she told me it was not her jurisdiction, and we needed to contact Humansville Public Attorney. Well, every time we've contacted Humansville, we're always told to come to Cedar County, and every time we contact Cedar County, we're always told to go to Humansville. So we went to Facebook, and we started just speaking out from there. March 8th of this year, a former Agape student, Joseph Askins, messaged me, and he said, I need to tell you something about your father's school. And I said, is he dead? And he said, no. And I said, well, what is it? He sent me a video, and that video, I can't explain what that video did. That video sent most every single one of us back into panic mode because his voice. From there, we posted that video on Facebook, and it went pretty far. It wasn't until Miranda actually, where'd she go? Miranda actually contacted and told me, she's like, you need to get on TikTok. You need to get on TikTok. And I'm all like, no. And then May 1st, 2020, a boy, Cornelius Frederick, lost his life in a facility called Lakeside Academy, owned by Sequel. He threw a sandwich, and he was restrained the same way myself and other teenagers were forced to restrain our peers. And he lost his life. Every single one of our Circle of Hope survivors that are here today actually got on TikTok, and we started sharing our stories, because that could have been any one of us. That could have been any one of us restraining our friend, and they lost their life. And we knew that if it was happening in other facilities, we needed to speak out because we dealt with that. And so thanks to Miranda, we got on TikTok, and it literally blew up overnight, and that's why we are here today.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, guys. Thank you, Amanda, by the way. It was really emotional. And thank you, everybody, for sharing. So let's go ahead and take a few-minute break, and we'll gather here shortly, guys.
I think it's like,
Yes, he's just gonna put it together and every time I pick it up.
We lived it.